could have fit all of the bicycle advocates on Capitol Hill into a phone booth and had room to spare. From $40 million spent on bicycling by all state departments of transportation from 1971 to 1991, we're now passing $3.5 billion spent on bicycling facilities and something like 40,000 lane miles of bicycle facilities all across America. Bicycling has more than come of age. We, from having no one at the table of transportation until 1991, we now have a bicycle coordinator, bike net coordinator, paid out of the Highway Trust Fund in every state department of transportation in every state in the nation.
Yeah.
For bicycling at the table of transportation policy in every state. We have dedicated funds out of the Highway Trust Fund. We have access to enhancements and congestion mitigation and air quality improvement and to bus bike lanes in all central cities of this country. We have rural bicycling facilities. We have urban centers. We now have safe routes to school. 1,800 schools participating, over $180 million invested in bicycle projects to get kids safely to and from school walking or biking. That's a sea tide change. We have the non-motorized transportation pilot projects in 4 cities of this country, paving the way to a bicycling future, a non-motorized future, laying the groundwork for the reauthorization next year. Those 4 pilot projects are coordinating with each other, putting ideas together, experimenting, getting people off their cars and onto their bikes and onto their feet all across the country in those 4 major cities. But it's a template for everywhere in America. We're changing the culture of this country. And those, are there retailers in this group? Yeah. You weren't here 20 years ago, you know. Project in 97 and 98. But this is your future. You ought to be knocking on the doors of every school board in your service area and telling them you want a Safe Routes program if they don't have one already. Because that is your future market. These are the people you're going to be selling bikes to and bike parts to and all the rest. And let me tell you what bicycling, you've seen it, you know what it does. But this coming June, after I get my deteriorating human infrastructure repaired, I got a little work to be done on my hip. It's grown the arthritis, and so I'm going next week to the Mayo Clinic to have a, I don't know, either titanium or cobalt nickel implant, and be back on my bike 3 weeks later. So first Sunday of June, we'll do the Paul Bunyan Trail Ride. When I started doing that 10 years ago, at the request, and they had only 20 miles of the trail, now we're 100 miles. There were 40,000 users of the Paul Bunyan Trail in '98. And last summer there were 650,000 users of the Paul Bunyan Trail. They've developed bed and breakfast in every one of the 16 towns along the trail. There's a bike shop on the trail. There are information kiosks by the convention visitor bureaus in every one of those little towns. People come up from the Twin Cities, 130 miles to go and bike the Paul Bunyan Trail. And the same with the other trails all across Minnesota and all across this country. We're creating a bicycle culture in America, and we didn't have one 20 years ago. We didn't have one 15 years ago. We have it now. When I got the language included in the Ice-T in 1991. And for the first couple of years there was nothing. And then the contractor groups were coming in to see me and saying, you know, we could do a whole lot more work. We didn't have to waste some of that money on these bicycle paths. And so I just looked him in the eye and I said, listen, I see your equipment out there on the highways, and I see your same equipment out there building the bike trails. You get the money one way or the other.
Yeah.
Stop complaining. And let me tell you, if there are no bike trails, there aren't going to be any roads either, so you got to go through me.
Yeah.
From the contractor groups and all the rest of them, the city planners and the urbans and the state DOTs is, we want to tell you about our bike trails. They know what they better say. When they come in to see, now the chairman of the committee. So now you got a bigger turnout every year, wonderful, knocking on more doors, building a Senate bicycling caucus, but don't give up. Don't give up. Don't think that you arrived and now it's time to sit back. A bridge collapsed in Minneapolis last August. What did the transportation people blame first for that? Bicycle paths. Our Secretary or Commissioner of Transportation was on the government said, well, you know, we're spending all this money on bicycle paths, that's why we can't repair the bridges. They diverted half of their money for bridges to other projects, other programs in the state of Minnesota. Secretary of Transportation said, well, we weren't spending all that money on bicycle paths, then we could do something about bridges. And Tim Blumenthal went up to the Department of Transportation. He confronted the secretary, and she said, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. Well, by damn, we're going to make sure they don't ever say it again.
Yeah.